Well, one thing is clear. Everyone believes nihilism is a negative, but they're not all in agreement upon what kind of negative that is. Just for an example right off the top, warbles on a lot. Comments. Nihilism derives from annihilationism, meaning to annihilate or to reduce to nil. Reactionary revisionism, attempting to sanitize the historical record, has a long history of failing to be effective. So I pointed out to him that nihilism derives from the Latin nihil, which means nothing. And he says that may be correct, but this is the way Pol Pot was explained to him back in the 70s, when high school social studies used to dwell fleetingly on such matters as which nutter thought what, and roughly how they came to such a position. Well, that doesn't mean that the people that explained to you back in the 70s that this was the case, that doesn't mean they're correct. And more likely they weren't correct. Pol Pot was a value junkie. He just happened to value something that was outdated. He wanted to go back to it. Because someone deconstructs or wants to destroy something that's modern, it doesn't mean that they're trying to get back to zero. They're trying to get to a different value. And it's not zero. It's a number. It's just a different number. It's a lower number. Modern civilization would be a 10, say. And Pol Pot wanted to go back to 6. So it's not that he didn't value or recognize that there is no value inherently. I don't even think that even came into his head. He didn't think of these things. He killed 1 million Cambodians in an effort to eradicate any trace of the modern world and reinstate pre-industrial society. Anyone educated was murdered. All right, yeah, that's a different value. That's not trying to get back to zero. That's just going backwards to pre-industrial society. It's not about annihilating. So yeah, there's that. Warbles on comment. So yeah, that really doesn't apply. But it's funny, I wanted to read this just as an example. Pulled out of, at random on a Google search, Urban Dictionary. Let's use that. Okay, here we go. Nihilists. People that unrealistic idiots don't understand. It's about realizing that there is no essential value or purpose to existence or the universe. Therefore, everything that we do has no real point, and the hype isn't worth it. I have an idea. Why don't you stop labeling nihilism as a self-defeating philosophy and actually declare what you think is the validation for existence? Then you might have an argument. Okay, that was posted by Bad Lieutenant. So yeah, you're going to see how different all these opinions are. Nihilist, one who realizes that all societal and moral values are baseless and sees no point to anything. Live in the moment, don't bother dwelling on the past or hoping for a future, it doesn't matter. All right, that's not really an accurate, that was posted by Grom. That was not really an accurate description. It's not one that realizes that all society and moral values are baseless and sees no point to anything. That's not it. Because societal and moral values have base. And there are points to things. They're just assigned points by the subjective observer. So that's not really accurate. Nihilist. Oh, well, then this one's just quoting the Big Lebowski. Jay Leibs posted, "Nihilist, we believe in nothing, Lebowski, nothing. Nihilist, we thought we were going to get $1 million. It's not fair. Walter, not fair? Who's the fucking nihilist?" So yeah, that's just poking fun. Nihilist, this is a long one. Someone who makes decisions based on only an objective perception of reality rather than emotions or personal benefits. A nihilist is not a self-aggrandizing narcissist who believes that they are above the law. A nihilist is someone who does not take pleasure from indulgence. Therefore, serial killers and insane dictators are not nihilists. People try to attach antisocial murderers to nihilism because they do not understand it and therefore fear it and want everyone to hate it. However, trying to manipulate others is a characteristic of antisocial behavior. So when someone tells you that nihilists are evil, you know two things. One, the person telling you this is evil, and two, they are trying to manipulate you. A nihilist wouldn't tell you this, though, because a nihilist wouldn't tell you anything is evil. Therefore, I am not a nihilist. It's harder to become a nihilist than a doctor. Nihilists cannot be manipulated because they create their own beliefs about the world based on their experiences and facts, influence-free. A nihilist would believe in God if he met God, true enlightenment. Stage 5. In Maslow's theory, self-actualization and beyond, sanity. Children are told about Santa Claus because it fills their lives with a sense of fantasy and makes them more fun for them. When they are older and more mature, they are told the truth. The same is true for religion, law, and good and evil. A nihilist is not someone who does harm to others. Who is better? The man who helps others because of a reward of heaven and a perfect life, or the man who helps others to see their gratitude, or the man who helps others because he chose to and needed no reward. The first two help others only because it helps them in some way. The last man is the only one good in a righteous sense. A nihilist. He does not need or want any reward. He simply helps because of his own belief that he should. Maybe Jesus wasn't the Son of God, just the first nihilist, and he needed to tell you a little fairy tale to get you to cooperate. All right, that was posted. Matthew Hugh. Yeah, most of that sounds right. Nihilists. We created our institutions and morals, so they are not real. Read more on this, please. It will enlighten you. The nihilist observed that without good, there is no evil. Posted by Jarrett. Well, we created our institutions and morals, so that's what makes them real. That's not what makes them not real. What makes them not real is that it's not existing anywhere. It's not a what, it's not a who, it's not a why. Saying that it's we're existing in space, in a universe, that's not saying anything. That's not saying anything. That's not an answer at all. That's the beginning of a question. But we do know that it's impermanent. Appearances keep changing. So if something exists and then not exists, after it doesn't exist, who's to say it ever did exist? How is that proved? Only by what? Someone knowing it, right? So you're relying on consciousness, this idea of a mind that could retain information independently of the changing appearance. It could accumulate data despite its context being disrupted over and over. So that's the only thing that would seem to be eternal, an awareness of a physical manifestation. All right, next one, nihilist. One that disregards all that is not inherent to reality and isn't fearing of death, though does not seek it. Nihilists have a tendency to love nature and detest concrete and plastic. Death is the only certainty in life, therefore giving life meaning. Yeah, all right, that sounds mostly okay. Yeah. Nihilist, a person whose motto is, the point is, there is no point. A true nihilist doesn't like to destroy because by doing so he is not gaining anything because there is nothing to gain. So those who try to destroy aren't true nihilists. Heidegger was a nihilist. I don't believe in God, I'm a nihilist. Yeah, all right. That was posted by Zamleku or something. Nihilist. One whose active denial in the meaning or worth of life is typically based on an incongruity between life and that person's preconceived notions of justice, fairness, or meaning. In other words, one who is tortuously trying to find an ethos which denies that there can be a meaningful ethos. False nihilist. If people weren't so stupid, they would learn to be miserable all the time, like me. True nihilist. To match the metric of our corporate vision, we must leverage our best people to think outside the box and achieve strategic ubiquity and synergy. Posted by Blue Devil. Yeah, I'm not really feeling that one too much. I mean, nihilism isn't an active denial in the meaning or worth of life, because one can recognize that meaning or worth are assigned, and it's a subjective thing. And it has meaning and worth to that subjective thing. So that's not really, that's wrong. And then, you don't need to tortuously try to follow an ethos which denies that there can't be a meaningful ethos. Nihilism isn't an ethos, but even if it were an ethos, it's not denying that there can be a meaningful ethos. There are meaningful ethoses, but they're subjectively assigned. Nihilists. An atheist in need of a Snickers. There's no point to life or the useless constructs we use to pass through it. We are but an unhappy accident. If there were even such a thing as true intention in a correct form of existence. Billy, you're sounding like a nihilist again. Do you need a snack? Maybe. Posted by Saucy McMuffins. All right, that's, a reference to the commercial for the candy bar. It's trying to be cute. But, that makes the nihilist out to be, a depressed pessimist, which shouldn't really always be the case. Can be the case, but that's not the standard. That's the connotation that nihilism is assigned. It has to be pessimistic because there is a point to life and there are useful constructs and we're not necessarily always unhappy. There is such a thing as true intention and we're living the correct form of existence. So it's not, again, not denial of these things that we create. It's just saying we create them out of nothing. Nihilist, a dipshit with a nine-toed woman. Okay, this is another Lebowski reference. He doesn't care about anything. He's a nihilist. Posted by Wasabi Jack. So I guess Bunny, the woman in the chair, in the sun chair, she had 9 toes. Was that it? I didn't notice that. Yeah, but that reference to the guy in the pool, knocked out drunk. That's what nihilism is. All right, next, nihilist. A supporter of a violent revolution in Russia during some period or something. Who cares? It's history. 2, one who believes all value and morals are unfounded or founded on nothing and thus aren't valid or real. 3, one who wishes to reduce the government or moral system to nothing. The nihilist says there's no point in being offended by dead baby jokes. By Entivore, posted by Entivore. Yeah, well, there's that connection again to dictators and oppression and communism. Then the second point was one who believes all value and morals are unfounded or founded on nothing and thus aren't real or valid. Well, they are real and valid even though they're founded on nothing. One who wishes to reduce the government or moral systems to nothing. Maybe. There's nothing wrong with being an anarchist. Nihilist. Ran for president in '88, but we got scammed by George Bush. Frauds by Anonymous. Right. Nihilist. A black metal fan who thinks nihilism is the new cool thing to do. They are often found ranting online about how meaningless and futile life is. Suicide is an option for them, but they would rather live out their forlorn existence. I'm a nihilist. I don't believe in anything, not even nihilism. By insert name. Posted by insert name. Yeah, well, that's exactly who's getting associated with nihilism nowadays. Are people that are not really nihilist at all. They just think it's the new cool thing to do. Nihilists, a clique of people who believe in rebellion, often think that the government needs to be destroyed and that everyone else is socially wrong. People who would rather be labeled freaks than become conformists. Look at the nihilist over there. He's a total freak. At least he isn't an ass like you by big itty-giggy. Yeah, well, one thing you gotta understand is that it's not always wrong to want to dismantle something that's broken or corrupt. It's rebellion and needing to overhaul a government. That is assigned a negative connotation. You're not being a good patriot if you want to point out that your government has become corrupt. The government should serve the people, not be used as a corporation to enable other corporations. Anyway, moving to the next one. Nihilist, one who sees no point to living and denies all known morals, ethics, rules, and laws. Hates society, wants nothing. Has usually one impulse: to destroy. Fuck it all, fuck this world, fuck everything that you stand for, don't belong, don't exist, don't give a shit, don't ever judge me. Slipknot, posted by Gores. Not at all. This is a pure example of the kind of negative perception. You know, the point to living, that's the point. You give it the point. You can't deny all known morals, values, ethics, rules, and laws. Otherwise, it's going to end up in jail. The fact that they're impermanent doesn't mean that there are not real consequences connected to it via your physical manifestation. You don't necessarily hate society and want nothing. And this impulse to destroy, no, that's the psychopaths. To destroy for the sake of the pleasure of destroying. A nihilist wants to destroy something if it's worthy to be destroyed. If it meets the criteria as to something that needs to be dismantled, then so be it. And that's just it, you know. That's why nihilism is really given this negative perception. Because the people that want to defend corruption and defend broken systems, they don't want that change. So of course, whoever wants to come and point out the truth is the bad guy. Can't be revised, can't be changed. They couldn't be wrong. They were flawless, right? So that's the end of the Urban Dictionary section on nihilist. You know, and there's tons more here, just on the Google search. It's all the same stuff. Basically variations of everything I just read. And most of it's full of shit. Yeah.